Did he write a written note before the assassination attempt? That's what the governor said yesterday. And what did that say? If you could
So what
share
I'm
that
able
with
to
us.
say, I'm sorry. So what I'm able to say is I addressed it partially earlier. Is that the written note we believe what did exist, and we have evidence to show what was in that note, which is, and I'm going to summarize, basically saying the suspect wrote a note saying I have the opportunity to take out Charlie-Kirk, and I'm going to take it. That note was written before the shooting. Evidence of its existence, we now have learned, existed before the shooting, was in the location, in the suspect and partner's home. But we have since learned that the note, even though it has been destroyed, we have found forensic evidence of the note, and we have confirmed what that note says because of our aggressive interview posture at the FBI.
And if you believe that story, I've got some oceanfront property for sale in Bismarck, North Dakota that I'd like to sell you. Hey everyone, Johnny here at Don't Speak News. Wow. Just when I think I'm going to move on from the Charlie-Kirk story, I really can't because things keep popping up that I just have to share with you guys. So evidence tied to Charlie-Kirk's assassination was somehow destroyed. And like it says here in the tweet, by who? By who? He didn't say. But they just admitted, Kash Patel here just admitted, he's head of the FBI, by the way. They just admitted that the evidence tied to Charlie-Kirk's assassination was destroyed. But hey, because of their aggressive interviewing, they've got forensic evidence of the note and what was said on the note, which actually he says the note actually stated that I had the chance to take out Charlie-Kirk and I'm going to take it. So you're telling me that the alleged killer, the alleged shooter, wrote a note saying exactly that and left it for the whole world to find, for the whole world to see. I mean, it just hole after hole in this story. It just keeps getting worse. So let's go to this story here over on Substack. I found this today just in my feed at random, and wow, this is a really good story. It's from Miri's Massive Missives, is what this blog is called. And this particular post is entitled Charlie-Kirk, Turning Point or TV Plot. And this is good. You're going to see a pattern here. Predictive programming from the 80s being projected into today from a television show from the 80s called Family Ties. And I'll show you how all this ties in, pun intended, here in a second. So the author states that when I studied in the States for a year, I'm slightly ashamed to admit that one of the highlights was having access to American Netflix. And the primary reason for this was that I discovered the 80s American sitcom Family Ties, to which I rapidly became highly addicted. The big show that everyone was watching of that decade, the Friends of its time, Family Ties centered around the Keaton family and their comedic political juxtapositions. The parents, Stephen and Elise, were 1960s hippie-coded liberals, whilst the kids, Alex and Mallory, were materialistic 1980s conservatives, especially political protege Alex. Depicted as a young fogey, aged just 17, Alex, by far the most popular character in the show, launching actor Michael J. Fox to superstardom, involved himself deeply in conservative politics and would scold the adults around him for their liberal, permissive ways while praising the work of his heroes, Ronald Reagan and Milton Friedman. And I know a lot of you who are my age or older remember this show quite well. Alex's mother, well, she worked as an architect, if you remember. You can imagine then that something felt a bit familiar when I read the following about the allegedly assassinated young conservative activist Charlie-Kirk, who has reportedly died from a gunshot wound whilst giving a speech on a university campus. Describing Kirk's background in teenage years, The Guardian reported that Kirk was raised in a politically moderate household. In high school, he emerged as a vocal conservative. He clashed with teachers he accused of neo-Marxist bias, drawing on influences that included Ronald Reagan's economics and Milton Friedman's free market ideas. He made his first media appearance on the Fox Business Channel at the age of 17. His father was an architect. Do you see the similarities? Milton Friedman, that was Michael J. Fox's hero in that television show, Family Ties. And then his father was an architect, just like in the show, Family Ties. It's almost like they wrote Charlie-Kirk's narrative based on the show Family Ties, because he is a character after all, and they've assassinated the character of Charlie-Kirk. Not the person, but the effect remains the same. They're already calling for more restrictions on free speech. Pam Bondi talking about anti-Semitism again in relation to this Charlie-Kirk thing. So they're going to use it to crack down on all kinds of speech they don't like. So, a crazy conspiracy theorist of the type who believes we live in an actor-based simulacrum and that the world stage of politics is just an offshoot of Hollywood, hence all the relentless crossover between the theatrical and political arts, might suggest that Charlie-Kirk is simply a fictional, scripted creation based on the hugely successful and enduring Alex P. Keaton archetype, even down to the signature nudge-wink of the scriptwriters, giving the respective parents of the two young activists the same careers. Isn't that something? A crazy conspiracy theorist might also suggest there's simply no way that ordinary 17-year-olds somehow get themselves onto the Fox Business Channel as Kirk did, and then, just a year later, with no meaningful qualifications or experience at all, managed to found one of the most visible, wealthy, and successful conservative advocacy organizations in the country. Turning Point USA, described as an American nonprofit organization that advocates for conservative politics on high school, college, and university campuses, was reportedly founded by the then 18-year-old college dropout Charlie-Kirk and successful businessman Bill Montgomery, 53 years Kirk Sr. Montgomery, who had a military background, allegedly died from COVID complications in July of 2020. Based on this information, Charlie-Kirk's rise to huge influence and fame sounds just about as plausible as Sebastian Shimrani's The Ordinary Young Man who appeared on the BBC in his early 20s to denounce his mother's crazy conspiracism, and then shot to further international fame just a couple of years later when he accused said mother of killing his sister. Sebastian and brother Gabriel are now very famous as activists for the online safety bill, seeking to crush the harms they allege are done by conspiracy theories. And if you don't know what the online safety bill is in the UK, you should look that up. It definitely is going to crush all free speech. So this kind of stellar rise to cultural significance and visibility, despite their complete lack of any professional experience qualifying them for such positions, is not a trajectory any normal young person follows, regardless of whether they are on the left or right of the political spectrum. On the contrary, sudden rises to political significance and media infamy of this type have intelligence service signatures stamped all over them. In short, Sebastian, Gabriel, and Charlie all look like spooks who proliferate throughout the media. Note that the UK mass media vehicles have been described by veteran newspaper editor Roy Greenslade as playthings of the MI5, while the CIA infiltration of the American media is well known, Mockingbird. We must always be very clear that the mainstream media does not exist to report the news. Thousands of newsworthy things happen every day that are never reported, but rather to reflect and promote the interests of the regime, which it does through elevating to prominence its assets and then using them to push and sculpt various agendas. Charlie-Kirk, like Sebastian and Gabriel Shimrani, appears to have been groomed from his young teenage years and backed by serious establishment money to fulfill an important world stage role. Using his youth and charisma, Kirk captured the imagination of the young political right and become an iconic figure for people of all ages. So, of course, his apparent assassination is going to have profound and far-reaching effects. It was rather obvious an assassination of a beloved right-wing figure was on the cards in order to further inflame the cultural wars and bring about the civil war the social engineers are so desperate for. To the extent that in July of this year I wrote, "Assassinations, whether real or faked, are well-known triggers for wider-scale political conflict. See World War I. But these can't just be assassinations of random people, not even random children. To have the desired effect, the assassination has to be with at least a modicum of celebrity. Someone with at least a modicum of celebrity, someone that is at least fairly well known, someone who's seen as important, someone who people feel like they know. Imagine what would happen then if a beloved right-wing celebrity, someone who was well known for voicing immigration concerns, was killed by an immigrant. That would be it. That would be enough to fully ignite people's indignation and fury, taking it offline and onto the streets, where, of course, there would be plenty of agent provocateurs and state assets like Yaxley Lennon to whip up and weaponize the situation as much as possible. Indeed, it would be. And so, by extraordinary coincidence, the aforementioned Yaxley Lennon, Tommy Robinson, is staging an enormous demonstration on September 13th, just a few days ago. And that was just 3 days after the world is left reeling from Charlie-Kirk's savage exit from the political stage. It has been widely predicted that some sort of event might occur at this demo, but whether it does or does not, it's clear we're gearing up for a huge political conflict and some sort of subsequent revolution that will result in the right wing strengthening their power in the USA and the UK, although he says this will only be temporary. So let's get down to brass tacks. Is it a real assassination? And like I said the other day, I find this highly unlikely. So I agree with this author here. For the same reasons I outlined many times regarding various other high-profile shootings and terror attacks, i.e., real events by their very nature are outside of the control of the ruling classes. They cannot wield complete control over a narrative they are not scripting, including, and especially, how the bereaved loved ones of the victims will react. Yes, that's very important. The need of the loved ones to not only agree to speak to the media, many genuine victims of bereavement would refuse. Yes, they would not go on camera right away after their husband was just shot right in front of them, assassinated. But they need to do so in the right way and say all the right things in order that the desired agendas of the assassination are properly promoted. In this instance, one key agenda item could well be increased support for the death penalty, not just in the USA, but over in the UK as well. The ruling classes can't count on this with the real assassinations, so it's far more likely that they stage them, including and especially when the assassination is of someone who quite clearly appears to be an intelligence asset, giving his wildly improbable rise to significance and infamy from such a young age, and the fact that he appears to be a carbon copy of the beloved TV character seared into the American public consciousness and introduced to a new generation recently by Netflix, Alex P. Keaton. We will doubtless see a spate of evidence over the next few weeks regarding all the anomalies and holes in the Charlie-Kirk official story, such as this video showing the shooting could have well been fabricated, which we've already looked at those. As this always happens with these staged-looking events as per the supposed assassination attempts on Trump, which Trump has tellingly compared the Kirk assassination to. And Trump's looked so much more fake than this one. It's also highly likely the event will officially be blamed on a totally improbable patsy. Some lone wolf nutter, yep, which we've already seen. Probably an immigrant, but not this time. Possibly a transgender, his roommate supposedly was, in transition. With a chip on their shoulder about Kirk's politics, whilst a competing official conspiracy theory narrative will simultaneously develop, blaming the event on, it would seem, Israel. Yep. And the reason they're blaming it on Israel, guys, to go with that gray state story you keep sending my way, the reason they keep doing that is to gin up more opposition to Israel, to gin up more anti-Semitism, so that they can come out and say, hey, it's like Pam Bondi's already done today, saying we're going to be watching for this hate speech. We're going to be watching it really close, and we're going to prosecute people because you don't have free speech when it comes to hate speech, she'll say. She's already said it. That there's going to be restrictions moving forward on free speech, supposed free speech. Now, I can understand it if people are calling for assassinations of certain people or calling for violence against certain groups and so on. But just for controversial speech because you don't agree with Kirk's politics, you don't agree with the genocide going on in Gaza that Israel is committing right now, well, they're going to start policing that. And that's all the fallout that's coming out of this. So even if the assassination were real, it's having the same effect, even though it's not. So this will give Trump the perfect opportunity to clamp down on the violent anti-Semitism he says infests U.S. campuses by affecting outrage that these pro-Palestinian influencers are pushing such a vile conspiracy theory about Charlie Kirk's death when Israel is such good friends of Kirk's and only recently invited him for a visit. That the rabid left were so quick to blame Israel for this brutal slaying shows how far out of hand anti-Semitism has become, and that we need even more draconian laws to crack down on it, he will likely say. Exactly. He's already saying it. Pam Bondi's already saying it. And so they're going to use this fake assassination of Charlie-Kirk, this false flag, to clamp down on free speech even harder. So whenever we have a PSYOP shooting, we always have the official story and the official conspiracy theory, which with neither of these narratives representing the actual truth. People who instinctively question the mainstream narrative are funneled into the official conspiracy theory. Then the two camps argue furiously with each other, and the real truth remains obscured, far outside of the Overton window, its proponents dismissed as wild ghouls and crazies. And so there you have it. Divide and conquer tactics to the forefront once again. And that, guys, will be it for now. I covered quite a bit here. That article covers quite a bit. And then, of course, we had the evidence that was destroyed. And then we have this too. This article also did talk about the stabbing on the Charlotte subway and how that was also very, very, very fake. Guys, where's all the blood? Okay, if her jugular was cut, there would be blood everywhere. And we didn't see any in the video. And now she looks different again. Hair is different. And like it says here, what do you know? She gets prettier every day. This is what she looked like when I saw the story yesterday. Actually, prettier there for my taste, but AI wanted her to grab the attention of the average news reader even more, so it put her through a salon and a makeup program. It even plumped her lips, as you can say. So no match. Almost no match to this person. And this is supposed to be her getting stabbed, so wow, she lost about 20 pounds and became a teenager overnight. And why would this Ukrainian model be riding the subway in Charlotte by herself looking like that? We are told she was on her way to work. Really? So this girl was working where? The Thrifty Nickel? Because girls who look like that can't find work anywhere except delivering pizzas or making subs. Now that was a joke, but I checked her shirt, and Sapati's is really a pizzeria. So are we supposed to believe she worked there? Nice product placement. I wonder how much that cost. What else to notice? They cut the actual stabbing. That would be too hard to fake, but the dude walks out of the subway car, and all these people completely ignore him, staying on their phones. No one even looks up because nothing happened. I thought that was weird too. If he had really cut her throat, why wouldn't people be freaking out over that? Especially, if he really did cut her jugular, she'd be bleeding all over the place. It'd be all over her shirt, all over her pants. He wouldn't be able to hide that. And people would be freaking out about that, but no one did because nothing happened. Also notice what he has tattooed on his throat, a bee. The Phoenicians love their bees, and as we know, so you can see this link here on Ancient Spooks. But I knew this was fake before even looking at the pictures. How? The word Ukrainian. She's being sold not just Ukrainian, but as a Ukrainian war refugee. What are the odds this crazy Rasta man would target a Ukrainian war refugee supermodel on the subway in Charlotte, North Carolina? This is script writing for the brain damage. It's so transparent, it is a joke. Amazing, isn't it, how they were so seamlessly able to combine the Ukraine war propaganda with the manufactured race wars and Operation Chaos? I'm just surprised that one of them hasn't turned out to be a tranny. Exactly. You may also want to ask yourself this. Is every seat on the Charlotte subway directly under a CCTV camera? That would require a lot of cameras, wouldn't it? If you live there, you may want to test that theory. Also weird that this is just hitting the news since it allegedly happened last month. If you do a Google search on it, the recent reporting was led by the Hindustan Times and India Today. What? As far as I could determine, WCNC in Chicago broke the story 16 days ago. And I'll leave you with the rest of it to read for yourselves. I think you get the idea. Unreal. Unbelievable. So all these fake narratives going on at the same time as they're getting ready to crack down on our free speech even harder. So, as you can see here, from Haaretz in Israel, Charlie-Kirk assassination sparks wave of anti-Semitic, anti-Israel conspiracy theories, report finds. And that's what the Greystone report is designed to do. Spark this wave of anti-Semitic, anti-Israel conspiracy theories so that people like reporters at Haaretz here can jump on it And then Trump can point to these reports, and Pam Bondi can point to these reports, and Kash Patel can point to these reports and say, see, we have to crack down on free speech. This is hate speech, and that's not free speech, just like Bondi said today. And that'll be it for now. Wow, so much to report on, just not enough time. That's why I highly recommend you be on the Telegram page, where I put a lot of stuff like this I just don't get time to report on, because, I mean, I could keep this microphone on 24/7. You know, if I didn't need any sleep or anything to eat, and we could just keep going and going and going, because the news happens just lightning fast now. Wow. Anyway, don'tspeaknews.com is home base for all that we do. I put a lot of stories on this website that we can't put anywhere else, including this one about the you-know-what functioning as chemical lobotomies that cause severe brain damage. We can't speak about that one anywhere else. Also, the story underneath, which is quite long and it's lengthy, but I found a video today as I was going through my feed, and it's all about unveiling the Gray Pope, the Orsini family's shadowy power. And so if you want to know who truly has the power, Orsini and Rosenberg's and the alchemical mafia, you should check out this story, which I've already put the transcript underneath the video in case you'd rather read it, so you can refer back to it. And also put the original Rumble link where I found the story as well. So all this and much, much more here on don'tspeaknews.com. And if you want to find us around the interwebs, just click on Rumble, BitChute, and Telegram links. All the links to find us, including YouTube, are right under here. If you'd like to support us, we are listener-supported only. Click on this tab, and all the links to support us are right here. And thank you for all your prayers as well. We actually did get the PayPal situation resolved. It took a few days and some correspondence back and forth, but we did get that taken care of, so thank you very much for that. But I'm not putting the link back up because it's still kind of iffy, but I did put up a new Venmo, and that link is on the bottom of the support page. So if you use Venmo, you can use that link if you wish. And that will be it for now. God bless, take care. Johnny Storm, Don't Speak News.